I was recently asked if I thought the concept of indigo children was a real thing. And my answer is yes, but possibly not in the way that it's currently understood. My take on this is as follows. There are people being born into the modern world that, in my opinion, don't fit with what is traditionally considered to be the norm. Maybe they are more empathetic, some may call them too sensitive, or maybe they don't feel comfortable following society's norms, or they just see things in a totally different way to most people. I know that the concept kicked off based on aura colours, and I can't actually comment on that aspect at all, but I can comment on the traits that have been identified as those of indigo children, and I can comment on them mainly because they actually describe me, and not just as a child. These are the characteristics: empathetic, curious, intuitive, and strong-willed. Well, that's pretty much me in a nutshell. I refused to eat meat from a very young age, and I kept talking about my previous life, and that really did drive my parents a little bit crazy. They're also often perceived as being odd. Well, needless to say, that was a common description for me. It is said that they possess a clear sense of purpose. For me, I call this being in the zone, but others might describe it as being intense. They demonstrate spirituality from an early age in childhood, and this can manifest in different ways. And for me, it was the ability to remember my past life. And also, I seem to have difficulty with some of the things in society, like the way animals were treated. I have a great love of animals, and I consider them to be very much like people. Another trait is that they are often highly intelligent. And, well, I don't want to blow my own whistle, but yeah, I am pretty smart. Sometimes it was too much for my own good, especially as a kid. By the age of 8, I'd read the Bible in full, and I'd asked some seriously concerning questions at Sunday school that actually got me kicked out of church. Yeah, that's pretty sad at the age of 8, huh? Anyway, another one is resistance to expectations. I hated being told what to do, and I resisted conforming to societal norms. I still do to some extent, although there are aspects that I have conformed to. An example for me, which wouldn't really relate today because, I'm in my 60s, but I was told that women couldn't have a career. So I graduated as a chartered accountant, and I had a very successful career. Another example is that when I was a child, I told everyone that I never wanted to have children of my own. But people said, "Oh, you'll change your mind." But I never did. I never had the desire to have children. And there are many more examples from my life. So in a nutshell, I believe in indigo kids because I believe I was one. But the academic views on this concept are certainly not as I see it. And there are many criticisms of the concept of indigo children, mostly because they criticize how the traits seem to have a generality about them. So they say they could apply to anyone. But really? Could they? And the people who speak about indigo children, the academics say their qualifications and experience are not conducive to them having an opinion on this. So those people are often criticized. And it even sounds like some children might otherwise have been labelled brats or even spoilt get the label of an indigo child because it's a more pleasant label, and not perhaps because they conform to the traits specified of an indigo child. But it does leave me wondering. I wonder when I was a child. Was I a brat? Was I? I don't know. But anyway, that being said, I do believe in the concept of indigo children. I personally fit the description and the list of traits perfectly. But what I think about it is as follows. The world needs people who are more caring and aware of the needs of others. So in my opinion, more and more children will be born with these qualities until that becomes the norm. I also think that there are more people being reincarnated from a more caring time. For example, Atlantis in the earlier epochs, because it certainly wasn't a particularly caring time at the later epochs, but anyway. And another point is, I think Indigo children look at the world in a different way, and that is needed for society to develop and learn. We as a civilization must be able to change enough to survive our more primitive instincts. So I think it's a good thing, and it just might save the world if there is enough of us.